Hi, crafty friends. So, one of my favorite things to do is craft where we don't spend a lot of money. So, I raided the recycling bin and we're going to do 3 projects. So, up first, we're going to do some wall art. I'm going to use a frame that I bought a while back at the thrift store. It didn't have anything in it, so I thought, ooh, let's marry a little old and vintage looking frame to go with something really cool out of cardboard. So, I'm using all different kinds. Like I had all sorts of stuff in the recycling bin. And by that, I mean the corrugation in between. Some has it really thick, some are not as thick. The thicker ones, it's a little bit hard to pull that off. The first layer it is, but I thought for the back of this, pulling it off would give it a really cool texture. I love texture on texture on texture. That's like my favorite thing. But I thought, let's keep going with these textures. So I cut out a bunch of little shapes. I think I did 2x3s on these. And then once I get those cut out, I was like, okay, so how do I want to lay these out? And I thought, oh, let's again, texture, tear off some of the parts on some of them. You can see some of them have it torn. Some spots all the way off, all the things. So we're going to lay these out and then hot glue them in place. And then once we do that, I'm going to paint over the top of everything. So at first I was like, okay, let's kind of dry brush this. And then I was like, ooh, let's kind of make it look in some areas like we got a ton of paint on and some not. Again, adding another layer of texture. And then once this gets on here, I probably should have done the back before I laid down the tiles, but that's okay. We worked it out. But once I got all of that done and we're going to let it dry, then I was like, oh, let's add another layer on top of that. So I really just had fun with, how it was going to turn out, how I was envisioning it in my mind. And the frame is kind of a creamy color. And this paint that I did was a little too white of a cream. So I added some distressing spray. And then once that dried up, I was like, ooh, let's grab some of the metallic gold paint that I have and just kind of hit a few areas here and there. And then I was like, I saw a scrap laying on my table and I thought, ooh, let's just tear that apart and then add yet another piece on top of this. Again, lots of texture, lots of layers. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the frame and bada bing, bada boom. Friends, look how cool this is. I love this. And I love that it was inexpensive. All right, so project number 2, what we're going to do is we're going to use, again, lots of cardboard and we're going to make a vase. So I just cut out the width I wanted of the 4 sides of the vase. And this ended up being way too tall, so I had to cut some of it off of that. So you could totally do it however you wanted. This cardboard that I'm using, it's not too thick and it's not too thin. It's like kind of right in the in-between. But for the base of this, I took some thicker cardboard and then I cut 3 pieces because I want the base of this to be kind of chunky. So I hot glued those 3 pieces together and then I found a trick for the edges to not show through. Because cardboard edges, you go, oh, that's cardboard. So I thought, let's do this. And I have a pretty good idea. So we're going to put the vase together, then we're going to put that onto the bottom, and then I'm going to show you what I decided to do for the edges. And actually, not only did I do the edges of it, but I ended up covering the whole thing, and there's a reason for that. So the tip for covering those edges is a little bit of masking tape. And the reason, you could just totally do that and then line it up, cut it off so that it perfectly covers the thickness, especially the bottom of this. But I decided to cover this whole thing with masking tape because it was almost giving it like vertical line looking things. And I was like, okay, that's giving me some texture that I want. But I also, when I was out thrifting a while back, I got these little wooden pieces or like flat wooden pieces. And I thought, oh my gosh, we could add that over it. And then it kind of looks like these vertical lines with that. So I'll show you what we're going to do here. But again, here's where I just kind of folded over that edge, making that go away so that you don't know that we have cardboard here. And then again, I just covered the whole thing up. So it took a little bit of time to do it, but once I got it all done, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so worth it because I love how it turned out. So the funny thing is I always have my go-to paint And the funny thing is with this, it is such a similar color to the masking tape. So when I started painting it, I was like, I guess my color is not too far from how it is, but that's okay. All right, so here's what the part I was talking about where I was like, oh, I got these, and I was like, how do I want these to lay out? And then I was like, let's trim this off because obviously it was too tall. So then I added it back on there. So here's where it's painted. We're going to add a little bit of distressing over the top of this just with an ink pad. Super easy. But friends, look how stinking cute this turned out. And we don't even know it's cardboard, which I love, 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 love. All right, so project number 3. Project number 3 is kind of, it's with using cardboard, but also it's the brown paper sacks, you know, like the old school lunch sacks. So I'm just kind of using this heart-ish idea. The heart doesn't have to be perfectly perfect shape, but I wanted it to be bigger than what this was. And then I'm just going to cut this out. This is a really thin piece of cardboard, so it cuts really easy with scissors. This is why I save all the cardboard, friends, because sometimes it's thicker, sometimes you want it thinner, all the things. So I have like this whole little stash in this drawer that I have once I raided the recycling bin. But once I get this cut out, I'm going to actually cut the center of this out, and we're going to turn this into a wreath. So with the bags over the top, I just open them up and crinkle them really, really good. Sometimes I scrunch them like 2 or 3 times just to kind of like soften that paper. And then we're going to turn this and make it kind of like into a faux rosette. And then we're just going to add those all the way around. Again, that heart is not cut perfect. No worries about that because once these get on there, you can't even tell. There'll be the outline of the shape, but you can't really tell. And then I was like, after I did the heart, I thought, oh my gosh, I want to do one of these in a circle because I think that would be really cool, like hanging over the top of a greenery wreath that I have, like just adding layer upon layer. So once we get these all hot glued in, and I really stuffed them really close together so they kind of hold each other in. So don't worry, once you hot glue one down, if it starts to unfold a little bit, no worries. We're just going to get them all in there and then they just kind of hold each other in. But I wanted to add a little bit more to this. So what I decided to do, I have 2 different color, actually I have 3, I think, of metallic golds paint. And so I thought, ooh, let's just kind of dry brush over the top of this just to add a little bit, like when the light catches it. You could even dry brush with, a color. That would be fun too. But I'm obsessed with gold, so I was like, oh, why not? So here's the first one that I did, and then the second one was kind of a lighter, more of a cream, if that makes any sense, a creamy gold. And so we went over that, and then once that all dried up, then I actually added some copper distressing spray. Just again, I wanted the light to pick up on that metallic, and friends, I just like I said, I want to make a circular one now because I think this turned out so stinking fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the page for more fun crafts. Thanks so much.